Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Brunch N Banter. And I am here with my sister.
Hey, peeps.
We are on episode 27.
We're
And
almost in the 30s, y'all.
we're almost in the 30s.
It's going to reach the 30s before I reach the 30s.
Okay, so for today's episode, I kind of wanted to talk about, we're going to talk about people-pleasing tendencies, what they are, why we do them, how we develop them, and how we cope, how to stop, fun stuff. Because I'm a people pleaser.
I think almost everyone is a people pleaser to an extent.
I don't think everybody is, actually. I think
You don't
most
think
people
so?
are not. No, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, because I met some people who are not very people pleasers.
Really?
Because if you think about it, a people pleaser is like keep the peace kind of thing, right?
Right.
Where they don't want to upset everybody.
Uh-huh.
But we have a family member, Nina, who is not very keep the peace, is very fire starter.
Yeah, we do.
So that's one example of a non-people pleaser.
Or maybe they just like not pick and choose, but naturally you like to please certain people, but not everyone.
Who is that person pleasing other than themselves?
Their spouse?
Not really, because if they were trying to people please their spouse, they wouldn't be doing all these things that they do.
True.
Exactly. Anyway. Mute point.
Yes.
So let's start with the definition of what a people pleaser kind of is. What I looked up is a people pleaser is like it's a pattern where you prioritize other people's needs, their comfort over your own comfort. Often it's because of a fear or an anxiety, but it's not your genuine choice.
Yes.
Off topic, but every time I say that word genuine, I think of Genuine and the pony song.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, so I know that kindness is intentional, but people pleasing is driven by fear of rejection, fear of conflict. It's very, like I was saying, keep the peace kind of mentality where you don't want to start anything because you rather just have everything be cool and neutral.
Yeah, I can see that.
Common signs are like saying yes when you really want to say no, or avoid sharing true feelings to prevent conflict, which I know I've done plenty of times. Guilt of setting boundaries or prioritizing yourself. And then like you kind of like associate having this certain self-worth by doing things for others.
I guess in a sense, wouldn't they technically be like a pushover too?
Yeah, you could be seen as a pushover. Like people who say like, oh, you're too nice because, you do things for others.
Right.
Stuff like that. I know I've always been that way, like since I was a kid. And I think it kind of comes from like, I don't know, I just thought about this when I was like kind of writing the outline. I thought about like when our parents would say like, don't talk back to me when you're trying to like talk about something. But then when you don't answer, they're like, why don't you talk when I'm asking you a question?
Right.
So I feel like that kind of, I associated that with people pleasing because like you don't want to talk back because you don't want to be in trouble. But then they ask you to talk back or to talk to them, but you don't want to because you don't want to get in trouble, but you're going to get in trouble anyway because you're not talking.
I think too, it's almost like you kind of weren't allowed to have an opinion, but then you oh my gosh, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, yes, I remember. Like giving your side or your story, well, I guess kind of your opinion would be seen as talking back when it wasn't really talking back. And I think that's where a lot of times, I don't know if I want to say just like our parents, but maybe adults who had children back then, because I feel like now parents are a little different. They're a little more understanding. And back then it was like you kind of had to mind your own and just listen to your parents. You weren't really allowed to have an opinion. But I don't know if it's the same for every household.
And that kind of ties down to like also being able to speak for yourself too. Like growing up that
Yeah.
way, not knowing that what you can and can't say, so you just keep quiet. And then as you
Yeah.
grow older, you kind of have this fear of speaking out and saying what you want to say. So instead, you kind of just, oh, okay, yeah, that works for me, even though that doesn't really work for you. And you actually
Right.
want to do something else.
Yes. Are you talking about me? I'm just kidding.
If the shoe fits, no, just kidding. So that's kind of like the next point that I had, which was childhood roots, which is conditional love, approval from caregivers. So and there I put grandma low key because
Oh my gosh, I
to me,
know.
my grandma's love now, yes, I understand her love now in a way, but back then it was very like you have to do things her way. It was her way or the highway. So if you were putting away, I don't know, a shirt and you folded it the wrong way because it's not her way of folding. You did it wrong and she does it by herself again.
Right.
It just makes you feel like, okay, well, I'm not enough for you. Very
Mhm.
conditional.
Yeah. I could see that. It almost kind of felt like that too with our parents, like growing up. If we were not constantly cleaning up around the house, it felt like we were almost, I don't want to say worthless, but that's kind of the
Mm-hmm.
term that comes to my head.
Kind of like when every time we wanted to go out, we had to make sure everything was clean,
Yeah,
which is kind of funny how that ties into each other when they have nothing to do with each other.
right.
Like they say, like when you ground your kids and you're like, what they did was, I don't know, they got an F on a test or something, and you ground them, but you take something away that had nothing to do with that test or nothing to do with the actual grounding of the, like the reasoning behind the
Yeah.
grounding.
Because then like you wouldn't you question, "Oh, they're not understanding the material. How
Mm-hmm.
can we fix this issue? Let's talk to the teacher. Let's talk to your kid and figure out, what they're not understanding and why they got a low grade, not, "Oh, you got a low grade. Okay, we're taking away your phone."
Yeah, I understand like the logic behind it, saying, okay, you're too much on your phone and you're not studying enough, but you don't know if they study their asses off and they just did not understand the material. Again, a
Exactly.
reason why talking and communication is such a healthy thing to do.
Right.
Because if you don't talk to your kids and tell them it's okay to communicate, it's okay to talk to me, tell me what you're feeling.
Yes.
Childhood kind of makes you feel like peacekeeping is the way to avoid conflict. And that's kind of where we learn all these tendencies.
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that big time. Especially like I hear that.
The dog,
Yeah. Woof 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 woof.
they're going crazy. It's okay, guys. I live in a neighborhood, so, things
Mhm.
happen
Oh,
in
is that
neighborhoods.
crazy? You live in a house next to a house?
People make it seem like you have to have, like, no noise behind you because, you
Some of
can't
us
hear
are
nothing.
not wealthy and we cannot afford a studio. But I was going to say that kind of reminds me of, I don't want to say mom, but I feel like I do watch what I say because sometimes she can take things the wrong way. Or like I'll over explain myself so that she doesn't take it the wrong way, so that she understands like where I'm coming from. She's
Mhm.
definitely gotten a lot better now, but like during high school time, it was a lot harder to have a conversation with her.
I wonder if that has to do with age. I feel like maybe she thought, "Oh, you're too young to have these kind of conversations anyway. You don't understand." Like, because when you're a kid, you obviously don't understand anything.
Oh,
But
I
as you
don't know.
grow, your opinion now matters because you're an adult now.
I don't know.
I think that's what it is, honestly. Because I feel like if when I was at that age, I wouldn't be able to talk to her how I'm talking to her now. Or at least she wouldn't like listen the way she listens now.
Maybe it's her age. Her getting older. Just kidding. I honestly feel like though like I haven't changed that much since I was a
Your
teenager.
age has changed. No, no.
Yes, my age has changed, but I don't think I've changed like a ton as a person. Like, I've because I've always been told you're very mature for your age, blah blah blah.
I guess so, but like it's kind of like one time when I had come home and I think I told my mom and dad that I was under a lot of stress at work, and my dad was like, "Oh, what kind of stress can you have? You're just behind a computer." And I'm
Mm.
like, there is a lot of stress behind that computer. Like, there's a lot of stress that comes.
Deadlines.
Yeah, deadlines, payroll, having everything done on time, making sure everything's done done right the first time and stuff like that.
Correctly. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, where they think that maybe because we were so young, we didn't know how to have these conversations.
Right. Yeah, because it's like you haven't lived enough life, right,
Mm-hmm.
to have experienced the same things as them. When in reality, there are probably some kids who have like lived more life than them and they're
Mm-hmm.
younger, but it's because they've experienced a lot of harder things that they may have not experienced,
Yeah.
growing up as, through their childhood. Because some kids have some rough childhoods.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
They've gone through crazy things that we never would have gone through, or we probably wouldn't go through till later in life. So, everyone's story is different.
And everybody's story matters.
Exactly.
So, like, I think, like, people pleasing can kind of be like a trauma thing or a coping thing. I don't know if it's the same to us, but it did come up in my little research that I did that pleasing as a survival mechanism to feel safe, which kind of makes sense. Like, people who go through like trauma, they kind of want to please people, kind of like, I don't know if you remember I'm pretty sure you watched it because we talked about it. The Gabriel Hernandez, the little boy who passed away.
Yeah.
Him, I feel like he was mistreated so much that he just wanted to please his mom.
Right. Yeah, he just wanted to be good.
Mhm.
Like, he wanted to be seen as a good boy and just make her happy.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't seen it, that's such a great series to watch. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it was on Netflix. But get your tissues ready because that was a very sad story.
Yeah. I think I saw a post like not that long ago saying that he would be 19.
I think so. Oh, it's Gabriel Fernandez. Sorry. He was 8 years old, but is that 12 years later? So 8, 9, 10. He would have been 20.
Yeah, that's wild.
Another reason why people have pleasing tendencies are like social and cultural factors. So, like the cultural norms that value selflessness, so you don't value your own self, you value what others want instead. Also, gender expectations, such as like good girls and good boys, do what they're told, they avoid conflict, stuff like that. I kind of don't like that.
That is like super cultural. This makes me think of like when I first introduced Kyle to the family, and it was like a holiday party, and I remember my
Hmm.
mom and grandma, both of them, kept telling me to fix him a plate.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why? I'm like, that's so old school. He can easily, just follow me and get what he wants, and then we sit
Yeah.
down together.
I see that because, like, even with like me and Francisco, I don't think I've ever really fixed them a plate unless
Right.
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Maybe once, but I don't really think so because I'd be like, "Do you want me to get your plate?" And he's like, "No, I'll get it myself." And we'll like both walk over there and start grabbing things that we want.
Yeah.
But nobody ever told me to fix them a plate either.
Good. At least you didn't get to experience that.
Because like my smart ass comment would have been like, "He's got arms, he's got legs."
I know. I'm like, he's not paraplegic, is he? He's not quadriplegic. Can he even swallow his own food? Do I gotta chew it and spit in his mouth?
But it's just like,
Just
see,
kidding.
like that kind of like, I was gonna talk something like that about like the whole gender expectations and good girls and good boys avoid conflict.
Yeah, I think that's like super cultural.
Mostly girls are a part of that because I feel like we are more or less like seen as the one who wants to please their husbands, please their boyfriends, whatever. So you kind of like put your thoughts aside and you make sure they are okay.
It's almost like a put your head down and be submissive situation.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like the whole good girls, good boys. I'm just like, I don't know about that.
Isn't it great that we are progressing as a cultural society, as a great human race? No, not really. We're not progressing that much.
I don't know how I would be able to live in a world where I had to ask my husband for permission to do things like, oh, I don't know, have a job or open a bank account for that instance. I think women weren't able to open bank accounts until like, was it the 60s, the 70s? It was pretty recent.
That's crazy because that's only like what 60 years ago.
1974.
That's wild.
I know.
And that almost reminds me of this post that I saw where someone was like, "Who fought for women's rights? I don't want to go to work. Please send me back home so I can cook and be with my baby."
I'm good, thank you. Which kind of like brings me to like the next part where it says like how people pleasing tendencies shows up in adulthood, which is like the first thing I have is relationships. Avoiding needs, opinions in order to keep the other person happy, and then taking on extra emotional and household labor. I know it doesn't say that it's a woman, but in my eyes, that gives me very woman vibes.
Yeah.
But it could be a man doing the same thing. It could be the same thing, but
But I feel like it's almost expected from a woman.
mm-hmm,
Like, if it's a, general heterosexual relationship, most of the time it's almost guaranteed or expected that the women will be doing the cleaning up and the chores. Now, obviously, men do help, or at least from what I've seen, there are men that help, and then there are
mm-hmm,
men who are also, like stay at home dads, if the woman is the, what is it, the breadwinner.
yeah.
So then that makes me wonder if, like, when the roles are, like, reversed, if men ever feel that people pleasing that women feel.
Probably, honestly. I could see that.
Because I'd like to get inside one of their heads and see how they feel.
Yeah. Because, like, even, like, when I was telling my mom, I don't know what I was telling her. I was telling her something about, like, oh, you're in a relationship. It should be equal. Like, if you're doing household chores, he should be doing household chores kind of thing. Like, you guys should be able to divide it, conquer it together, whatever.
Right.
And my mom was all like, your dad doesn't help me. And I'm just like, I know.
He does sometimes, though.
Outside?
No, in the house. He cleans up. I've seen him with my own two eyes.
According to my mom, I don't know.
Well, the way he does it, she's usually at events.
Oh, okay. I think she means in like the mopping, the scrubbing, the this and that, whatever. I don't know, but that's what my mom
Right.
said. But I think she means probably like more often.
Yes, but she should at least give some credit where it's due, because it can almost be a sense of like, if someone's constantly telling you that, "Oh, you never help, you never help, you never help," but you do help,
Hmm.
then you feel like your help is pointless. Then you're like, well, I don't want to help anymore if you're saying that I'm not helping, but I am helping.
That's true. Because I know my mom wasn't here. My dad did something. I don't remember what it was for her, but she said, "I already did it. Why'd you do that?" Very, you know how mother is, very attitudey. And my dad
Yes.
was like, "Well, that's not very nice."
Yeah, I know.
And I was like, Yeah, she could have gone about it a different way. She could have been like, I appreciate that you tried to help me. I did already do it, but I do appreciate that you tried to help me. Something."
Right. Marriage counseling? I'm just kidding.
Nah, they're fine.
Oh, I know they're fine. I'm just saying. I think they just need to like look at things from a different perspective.
And it's easier to see when you're like the third person in the room,
Mhm.
like the flaws, and then like, okay, well, this could have been done a little bit different.
Yeah.
My next topic was like the workplace as well when it comes to adulthood, such as like overcommitting to tasks and projects. Also, the fear of disappointing authority figures.
I think the workplace is the huge one.
Mm-hmm.
Where like I think that one's like more fear, not conflict, because it's more of a professional setting, so there really shouldn't be much conflict. Because that almost reminds me of when I was working at the pet shop, and they wanted me to become a team leader, and I didn't want to, but I did voice that I didn't want to, but they really wanted me to, or they needed me to. And that's when I was like, well, if I have to and you guys need it, then I'll do it. But they knew I didn't want to. And I think that's like probably the first time that I could remember like actually saying what I want to say
Mhm.
and not, just being like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, sure.
Yeah, some people struggle with saying what they want to say, especially in the workplace, I think. Because
Yeah.
you kind of have like this fear of like repercussions if you say something wrong.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh, what if, they were going to give me a raise and they don't? I mean, you'd never know if you didn't get the raise,
That's true.
but still, they're like, what if you say no? And they're like, well, we found someone who will, so you're fired. I don't think that would happen, but still. Well, you never know, but
In California, I know that the laws are made to favor the employee more than the employer.
that's what I would hope that most places are like.
Yeah, because unlawful. Yes, a work you okay. When you're working, you are at will, so you can get fired at will.
Right.
But usually, you have to have a good reason to fire. It can't be something stupid.
Yeah, or else you can get unemployment.
Well, not just that, but you could sue the workplace and get money back,
Ooh, and then some.
and then some. I know I've definitely tried to like do a little bit of people pleasing tendencies at my workplace where it comes like whenever my manager would be like, "Oh, can you do this for me?" And I always joke around with her and tell her, "Why are you asking me if I can? You know I'm gonna say yes. Like there's no way I can tell you no because
Right.
you're my manager. I'm not gonna tell you no." I mean, and I do mean that jokingly. Like I joke around with her, but even though I mean it jokingly, my answer's still always gonna be yes.
Right. And then two, just like to comment on that, that makes you a very reliable person that then they always go to you because they know they can count on you.
Mm-hmm.
That the first time you ever say no, I feel like you could feel bad because, they always come to you, but then they would probably feel disappointed.
Yeah, kind of. But I know I've said no a couple times, and it's not really like a no, I can't do it. It's more
Right.
like at the beginning of the month, we have to reconcile our bank statements. So usually, I'm kind of like swamped at the beginning of the month. It's usually when I submit the records for our spray logs, which is what chemicals we spray throughout the month. So
Right.
I sit there and I type them all out. I make sure that they're all good. Make sure that we're not harvesting when we're not supposed to be harvesting. I kind of like double check everything. And then on top of that, I have to check my payroll. So she knows I'm usually busy around that time. But there's times when I'm not busy, so I'll take the reconciling. But she'll like usually message me, it's like, hey, if you have time, can you reconcile? And I'll be like, can I do it next week? Because I'm kind of swamped this week. So it's like me saying no, but not no, no. It's just like yes, but not right now. So
Right.
like in a way, yes, and then a way, no.
Mhm. I think too, like most jobs should be understanding, especially when you have a lot of work to do and then they're just
Mm-hmm.
like adding more work on top of your work, then they
Mm-hmm.
should just be understanding that, obviously you have more employees or maybe you need more employees so that the workload isn't so big.
Yeah, that's true. Especially nowadays, I feel like in the people that I've worked with, usually the people who are around my age to about 2 to 3 years younger and 2 to 3 years older, they're usually pretty hardworking and they'll do what they can to get the job done. But when it gets under the 2 to 3 years, they tend to be a little bit more easily distracted. And
Yeah.
it's usually because of the fact that we're always on our phones. Our retention span is very, very short,
Yeah.
especially when TikTok first happened and they were what, like 10-second videos, 30-second videos? I don't know.
I think they were 30.
Yeah, and then they started bringing out the longer content, and people would
Mhm.
like, if you're not hooked within the first like 5-10 seconds, people move on from your video
Yeah.
because of our retention span and how we have what's it called shaped our brains to like want this information right now.
It's the instant gratification.
So when it comes to work and you kind of don't get that same pleasure from working,
Yeah.
you kind of get distracted and you get bored. And that's what's happening now with like the younger generation, unfortunately. The older generation, I don't want to say older because it's like the right now where I'm at, but my generation, I feel like was hardworking, trying to get their shit done and do this and that, whatever. The younger generation is more like very chill about it. And it's like, well, when you work in a payroll company, you can't be very chill about anything because we're kind of trying to get that shit done, get those checks out,
Yeah.
get them reviewed. make sure that everything looks good before Thursdays, because Fridays are check days, you know? We don't have time to
Yeah,
be doing redoing stuff and rechecking stuff and
that's true. Time is of the essence.
exactly. We're in a rush.
People want their money, hard earned cash.
For real though, people do want their money.
They do. You can't get between someone and their money.
No, no, no. Lawsuits will happen.
Yes.
So yeah, so to me, I just feel like that's where we're headed, and we kind of have to like reel that back in and kind of like reshape ourselves to not get that instant gratification.
It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It takes time.
So the last way that I have that people pleasing tendencies show up in adulthood is self care. And I know we're always talking about self care, but when you're doing nothing and you're doing your self care and you're resting, you kind of feel guilty when you say no to people, because people will be like, "You're not even doing anything. Why can't you just do this for me?"
Oh my gosh, that actually reminds me of a video I was watching earlier. Was it today? Maybe it was yesterday. Of this girl, she had just moved into Remy.
Mm.
She just moved into a new house and she was like, "Oh, today I want to get a lot of unpacking done," but instead she spent the whole day relaxing cuz she's just been super busy. And it's like it's okay to relax, like let your
Mm-hmm.
body take a chill pill, unwind, recover from, whatever you were doing, and get energy so that the next day you can,
Attack it.
yeah, so the next day or later on in the day you can do some work. What is it? R&R, rest and
Mm-hmm.
relaxation, is very important for the soul and the mind and recovery. I don't know.
Mental health.
Yeah, I feel like we're always talking about mental health, but who doesn't talk about mental health these days?
Exactly, it's very important. But yeah, so like that's like a way that like people will be like, "Oh, you're not even doing anything. You can just do it for me." So it's just kind of like they're guilt tripping you into accepting it, or always having to adjust your schedule for others because so and so wants this done and so wants this done. It's like, well, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
What about what I need to not be overwhelmed?
What do you need? Do you need a hug?
No, I just need a book.
Oh, you need a book. The dictionary?
No, Twilight, Harry Potter, those will do.
Hunger Games?
No. Twilight, the Harry Potter. Those will do.
You sound like a recording, but okay.
Just kidding.
Twilight Potter. Got it.
Okay. So, when you are a people pleaser, what happened? What are the costs that happen to you? The outcomes?
You lose your sanity.
Yes, you lose your sanity. You get burnout from overextending.
Yeah.
You get resentment towards others.
Oh, yeah. That one's a big one.
Exactly.
Because then you're like, I'm always doing this and this and this and this for you, and you don't do anything for me. Boom. Relationship gone.
And that's why communication is key. If you feel like you're always doing something, be like, "Hey, babe, we need to talk. I feel like I'm always doing this, this, and this, and this. We need to divide this and conquer together."
You go, Glen Coco.
You get a loss of personal identity. Your wants become zilch.
That is true. If you're constantly pleasing other people, it's like you never satisfy yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like your tank, and then your tank is empty, and I don't even think you realize it
Oh, no, you don't.
until it's too late, and you're like a little fish drying out into a little jerky fish.
That sounds disgusting.
Then you're fish jerky. That does sound gross.
That sounds so nasty. Anyway, you have shallow relationships where you're not fully known by others. So, like, say you have a boyfriend and you're always doing A, B, and C for him, but he never does anything for you, but you also never ask for anything.
Mm.
So he doesn't really get to know you and your wants and your needs. So how is that a relationship? It's all one-sided.
That is so one-sided, yeah. I never thought about it that way though. That's crazy. Imagine being in a relationship with someone and they barely know you. That's not even a
Mhm.
relationship. That's your son or your daughter. That's your child.
When I was younger, I think when I was younger, when I was in relationships, I never really spoke out about what I wanted and what I didn't want. So to me, it was kind of like they didn't really get to know me because I was not able to speak up because I felt like if I spoke up and told them my feelings, I was going to get rejected and this wonderful, not really wonderful, but this wonderful relationship was going to end. And that was going to be the death
Mm,
of me, you know?
yeah, because literally when you're young, that's like your whole world.
Mhm.
You're like, oh my gosh, I'm in a relationship. I'm so happy. But like, girl, you're not. You ain't happy. You sad. They don't know
Exactly.
you.
Exactly.
No, I was like, that makes me think about my relationship with Kyle, and I'm always like constantly telling him crap. He knows me very well.
He puts up with it. So he
Yeah.
doesn't care. But like I'm always preaching about how the relationship I'm in now has been like one of the healthiest relationships I've ever had where I can speak up and tell him I don't like this and I don't like that or I do like
Right.
this and I do like that. And we talk about things and yeah, we argue about stupid shit, but then we get over it like that. Because it's not I don't want to say it's not a real argument, but it's really not a real argument.
It's like a bicker.
Yeah.
You're bickering.
But I like to bicker a lot. That's like my thing is bickering.
But I feel like you've always been like that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I remember I used to get on your nerves on purpose.
But I mean, tell me, like, how fast did I get over it?
Relatively quickly.
Exactly. I told Francisco today too. I was like, I have a short temper, and he goes, I don't like that shirt, and I'm like, okay. And he goes, see, you don't have a short temper. And I'm like, you're stupid. It doesn't count.
You're like, you think that you not liking my shirt will make me angry?
I don't care if you like my shirt or you do not like my shirt. It is my shirt to like, and that's it.
Yeah. That's when you say, well, at least the shirt's not on you. It's on me.
Good thing I'm the one wearing
Yeah.
it.
Silver lining, people. Silver
Yes,
lining.
exactly. So, what are some ways to cope or how to stop these people pleasing tendencies or even just to like how to not do it as much? So, number one, of course, self awareness.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pause before you're going to say yes. Ask if it's a choice or a fear. If you're afraid of something or afraid of how the other person's going to react, and that's the only reason you want to say yes, then say no. Honestly, just say no. You don't even want to do it in the first place. Why are you going to say yes?
That's true. Because I feel like a lot of, well, I don't know, because I don't want to say I don't talk to a lot of people, but I think it's just that the people I talk to I'm comfortable with, so I don't ever have to sugarcoat anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I can think of one person where I usually would type out a message, like, I was going to text them, and then I would read it over, and then I would think, oh, I don't know if they'll react the way that I'm thinking about how, because you can't understand context over a text.
Mm-hmm.
So I would delete it and then rephrase it to how they would understand it. And I don't know if it would count as a form of people pleasing, but I feel like when I think about like that person and how I would say things, I think I would watch the way I say things. So I feel like that could be a form. Well, I guess it is a form of people pleasing if I'm thinking about, like, oh, around this person, I'm going to speak a certain way because they tend to not necessarily understand where I'm coming from. I guess my point was like, yes, I would pause, but I don't want to say it was out of fear, but I just like knew that they could probably take it out of
In
context.
a way, though, that is out of fear because, in a way, you're just like, you don't want them to misunderstand something. I don't want to say you're afraid of them to misunderstand, but
Yeah, that's the thing because like I wasn't scared to, reiterate or rephrase what I meant when I would send a message. I think I would just read it over and just be like, "Oh, you know what? Let me just change up the wording."
yeah. But that just happens with texting, honestly, because, like, it's just very monotone. You don't have any emotion over it. You don't know how somebody's going to read it. People interpret things many different ways. You could say, I hate that you decided to do that, and the person pretty much heard that you hate them, or it's stupid that you did that, and what they heard is that you're stupid.
That almost reminds me of it usually has to do with couples
Hmm.
where it's like you should change up your wording. I think that this has like nothing to do with people pleasing, I think. I'm not sure. But it's like where if they say, I don't even know how to give a good example, but it's like where you redirect so that it's not all on them.
Hmm.
Like, let's say that they always cook dinner, but they leave a mess. I don't know. And so you say, "Oh, I appreciate the dinner," but instead of saying, "You always leave a mess and you never clean up after yourself," you could instead say something like, "Oh, thank you for cooking dinner. Now let's clean this mess together," or something like that. Like, that's a
Hmm.
terrible example, but
No, it
that
makes
reminds
sense.
me of the, oh, don't put it all on the person because
Hmm.
then they feel attacked. Instead, make it like something about you guys together.
Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't do that to Francisco or anything, but when we make food, I'm just like, okay, look, can you help me wash dishes now? I'll wash, you dry, or can you put these away while I wash the dishes so I can have somewhere to put them, you know? It's just kind of like we
Right.
kind of do stuff together, so we might as well clean up together.
Yeah.
So another way to cope is inner work. And of course, with inner work comes therapy and journaling, another key topics that we always talk about. You do these to uncover origins of habits.
Yes.
So, you when you're journaling, when you're talking to somebody, you kind of like realize things and you're like, "Oh, that's why I do that."
Yeah.
So they're making me feel this way. I should probably speak up for myself and say like, I don't appreciate that you're doing this or doing that."
Yes. Journaling is very good for self intuitiveness, I would say.
Mhm.
Like
I think
just
so.
understanding, like your brain and all that stuff, and yourself and the people around you. Because, like, literally, it's not like you have to write, like, dear diary. But, like, it doesn't even have to be that long, just spend like 5 minutes out of your day to, write what happened in your day and, how you felt and all that stuff. And then you can always look back on it if you need to. I don't know if most people do, but it really does help you, like, with your emotions and your head, clear your head.
Mhm. Yeah, it does. And the only time I've ever looked back is like when I find my old diaries. I'm like, what did I write when I was freaking 12 years old?
I
And I'm just
know.
like, why the hell did I write that?
We write the most retarded things ever.
I'm gonna out myself, and it's gonna be so stupid, but I'm gonna out myself right now. I remember reading my diary, and on there I put something along the lines of, I finally memorized my uncle's license plate. For
What?
what? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Our uncle who used to live with us, Nana. And
Yes.
I like literally wrote down the license plate on that, and I'm just like, what? What does this have to do with anything? Like, this is so stupid. Why would I even want to memorize? Like, what is a 12-year-old gonna do with that, you know?
Send it to the cops.
He was like in the freaking academy already, so it didn't matter.
That is very, very random.
Another way to cope is establishing your boundaries. Practice saying no in a safe context. Use polite but firm refusal phrases. I'm trying to think of the first time I ever said no to somebody. I know I do it now. I feel like I didn't really say no when I was like, younger because I always just said yes, just so that people wouldn't hate me.
I think for me, it was in school, but I was very scared to say no.
Yeah.
And then with me saying no, it led to a loss of friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I feel like I would never say no just because I was afraid to lose my friends.
I don't think I ever thought that I would like lose my friends. I always thought that they would get mad at me if I ever said
Yeah,
no.
that.
But then again, it wasn't a common occurrence that I wanted to say no because it was never a thing about, that they wanted me to do something that I really didn't want to do because it was always stuff that we all wanted to do, like, as a group.
Yeah. Another way to cope is to reframe your guilt.
You definitely could have a guilty conscience, especially like if it's something where someone really needs you, or like they really like rely on you and you know you can do a good job but you just can't do what they want you to do. Like I could see that, having a guilty conscience over that.
I wonder if it kind of applies because I know Francisco and his family. He's always like people feel like he's like a go to guy because he's like a good person and he does things for others.
Well, he's reliable.
Yeah, but there was a time when they wanted him to take one of his family members on an airplane ride to a certain state and then come back and like him pretty much pay for the whole thing.
Right.
And I told him like you could do it, that's fine, like if that's what you want to do, but I don't see why you have to be the one to do it.
Right.
When he has brothers, he has sisters, he has his kids, like somebody else could chip in
Yeah.
and like come and do that for them. Or the person from that place could take an airplane and come over here, pick him up and go
Right.
back too. Like it's the same thing.
That it would make most sense for it to be that way.
Yeah. So to me, it was kind of like maybe that would kind of make somebody feel guilty for not doing this favor.
Especially when it's in family.
Yes. And I feel like that's where we get the most guilt when it comes to family.
Yes.
I know I'm saying like practice boundaries and stuff, but when it comes to your family, I feel like it's hard to put up boundaries because,
Yes.
like we said before, we want to keep the peace.
That is very true.
Yeah. Because I bet you if we were to tell a certain family member, Nana,
Yes.
that we were fed up with their BS
Yes.
and we want nothing to do with them if this is how they're going to be treating us and all these other people in our family, especially with certain words that they use to describe part of our family.
Yeah.
And we were to practice that boundary, how much you want to bet half of our family would probably blame us for that conflict?
Probably. But I will say, like, that person in our family is the only person where I don't feel bad having boundaries.
No, not with that person.
I've never felt guilty saying no or, stating my boundaries. And even when they've asked the same question like 5 times in a row and I keep saying no, and I'm just, I stand firm with my boundaries. And obviously they don't seem to understand because they keep asking the same question. But, eventually it gets through to them after like the fifth time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I don't feel guilty towards that person, but I do feel guilty towards the other family that lives with that person.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then another thing is also self-worth. You have to realize your own self-worth, your own peace of mind, and a great tactic is affirmations. Like telling yourself, my value isn't tied to what I do for others.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's hard to look past that because a lot of people will see you as value by what you can do for them.
Oh, yeah.
Those are not the kind of people you want, guys.
That is how I felt growing up. Like my value and what I would do around the house,
Mm-hmm.
where I felt that I was valued more as a child of our wonderful parents. And I'm not saying this to like make our parents like sound bad or anything, love them and everything. But like when we were younger, well, this was like maybe like not even like younger. I think it's just like even out of high school, during high school, out of high school years, where it just seemed like they valued you more if you're constantly helping around the house.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever just saw you sitting on a couch on a Saturday morning enjoying your day, because it's like, oh, no work, no school, I can relax. It's like, hey, why aren't you helping out around the house? Like, why aren't you cleaning? Why
Mm-hmm.
aren't you cooking breakfast for everyone? Things like that.
Yeah. And it's sad that our value is tied to like what we can do rather than who we are as a person.
Right.
I know it's different now. I feel like it's a lot different now. They don't really.
Oh yeah, they're not like that anymore.
I know, like if Lily's is still sleeping at like 1 p.m. I know
Right.
my mom will be like, Lily's still sleeping, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, but also she's it's so different
Mhm.
because like back then it's like you woke up at 10 in the morning, and they would, make some type of comment about you waking up so late. But now she's used to it because, she stays up till like 5 in the morning.
Yep.
And then, obviously she goes to bed stupid late and wakes up stupid late, but at least she's getting her sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I know my biggest like thing with that was like I wouldn't see like I okay. I would see my mom get up and do stuff, but I would see my dad get up, get his coffee, go sit down on the couch, watch a little bit of TV, and I'm like, "Oh, I want to do that too." You know?
Mhm.
So to me it was kind of like the double-edged sword because now I'm getting in trouble for doing the exact thing that I see a parent do.
Right.
And I'm just like, "Why am I getting repercussions? I'm just following what I see being done."
That almost makes me curious if we had a sibling who was a boy, if it would have been any different.
Yeah.
Too bad our other co-host isn't here because she has a brother. But I don't know what their dynamic was like growing up. I don't know if they cleaned or anything like that, or if it was like I don't know what their household dynamic was like. So we can't speak for them,
Yeah.
but I'm curious how it was.
I know that they baby him a lot.
Right. Because they did that, I almost assume that he probably didn't do chores. Like maybe he just had to like keep his room clean, but I don't want to like speak for him. But
Yeah,
I
I don't
feel like
know.
his room was always relatively clean, anytime we went to their
Yeah.
house. Like both of their rooms are always pretty relatively clean.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder if it was different because I felt like I feel like the more our parents tell us to do something, the more I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And that too, it's like anytime, like even if you were going to do something, the moment that someone tells you to do it, you don't want to do it because they
Yeah.
told you to do it. And then you're going to feel like, well, they told me to do it. And then if I do it, they're going to be like, oh, they listened to me, but they won't know that you already were going to do it. So instead, you're like, I'm just not going to do it.
That and the fact that when you do it, it's like what is it called? It's like they're like, "Oh, well, finally you do something," you know?
Oh, yeah. Like they don't appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm just like, "Well, if that's how you're gonna act, then I'm just not gonna do it at all."
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I do or don't do it, I'm gonna get the exact same response, so
Right.
what's the point? Okay, my last thought for ways to cope is gradual exposure. So you kind of start voicing your needs in safe places, safe relationships. So, like with your sisters, like people you feel safe with, your significant other, whoever, is that person that you're going to feel the safest with.
Yes. And also too, I think usually I wouldn't say like if you're a parent, obviously, give your kids some grace and just
Mm-hmm.
hear them out. Even
Gotta be patient.
yeah, I think that definitely practice listening
Mm-hmm.
and processing, what your kid is telling you or like what your partner is telling you. Like, I think one of the main points for me that I would take from this is listen and not just react.
Yes.
I think that's like one of the big key points is like trying uh not necessarily not to be a people pleaser, but like if you're used to people always doing things for you and then the first time that they are coming to you and saying that they can't, that it's like, you know, listen and understand like, people can't just drop everything to always help you.
Mm-hmm. And actually, you might be surprised if you're the one doing the people pleasing that the time that you tell them, hey, I can't do this for you, they're just like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
Like, they might not even care.
yeah, it's not as huge of a thing as you think. Except obviously for me it was in high school where I just like completely lost a friend, but you can only do so much.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, I also have to, like, say, like, for at least for our parents, when they had, like, us and stuff, when they had me, my mom was 21.
Yeah, she was 21.
So if I put myself in my own 21-year-old shoes,
That's true.
I was so immature.
Yeah.
I wasn't so immature, but I wasn't at the maturity rate that I am now, where I kind of am a little bit better at listening, a little bit better at understanding some things over others, you know?
And even then, too, it's like her background is like way different,
Oh,
like
yeah.
compared to you. Because obviously, when you become a parent, you're going to be so different because, you'll take from, I guess, lessons that you've learned through life
Hmm.
because you've lived more life than our parents when they became parents.
Oh, yeah. So I definitely have like other things I have got like that I could attribute my parenting skills to eventually, you know? But like I was just gonna say that they weren't at the maturity rate that they are when you're 30.
Oh, yeah.
When they were 21, they didn't know what the hell was going on. So
Yeah.
by the time that they had me, I mean, they raised me to the best of their capabilities. But of course, not everything's perfect, and they weren't going to get everything down. And I understand why there's like certain things that I had to do that my sisters didn't have to do. Certain things that went into being the older sister. Certain examples I was supposed to set that maybe I didn't set because I just didn't set them because I wasn't maybe the right person to set them, you know? And that's fine. But like them being parents at that young age, to if they were parents at 30, they probably would have been so different. We don't know.
Right.
So yeah, to a certain extent, you do have to give your parents some grace that they did the best that they could at the age that they were at, you know?
Yeah.
So finally, I just kind of wanted to give everybody a challenge. Try saying no to something this week, or just pause before saying yes.
Yeah. Like, especially when a cop pulls you over.
You're done.
When they say, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Just say no.
Just kidding. Don't do that. Then that's just being dumb.
Yeah, don't take my advice. I've never been pulled over, but don't take my advice.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned some things today, and I hope you do the challenge. Don't forget, we will list our socials down below, our email, our Instagram, and our TikTok. And if you're on Spotify, put the 5 stars, give us a good rating, leave us some comments, because Spotify does have comments. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, hit the subscribe. We hope that you listen up next week because we are going to be back on Thursday. If any of you are wondering why we haven't posted Reddits, I did want to say I do have a couple of hard classes right now where I don't have the time to be editing more than one video a week. But we will hopefully bring back Reddits pretty soon. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.